Good morning, and thank you for coming today. I am so honored to have earlier this morning laid out Senate Bill 1040, and more honored to have my colleagues that stand with me today, Senator Angela Paxton, Representative Alverson, Representative Jatan, and Representative Bojani with us today. I have to say that Senator Paxton, your Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 from last session brought to our attention something that is going on that I followed up with Senate Bill 1040. So, members, we are so honored to be joined by individuals who have experienced and have witnessed the horrific practice of forced organ harvesting. We have representatives with us from the Minaret Foundation who have brought light to this issue of forced organ harvesting, and we will hear from them today. And I want to thank you for the awareness that you have brought to all of us. Members and to the press, earlier this morning I laid out Senate Bill 1040, which is intended to combat the unimaginable practice of forced harvesting. In the United States, our organ donation system has high ethical standards. In Texas, we celebrate the donation and the voluntary giving of organs because we consider it a gift of life. Unfortunately, some countries do not respect life in a similar manner. The world has brought to light in recent years the continuing abuses of the Chinese government of their citizens. Specific to today's topic is how they are imprisoning religious groups, particularly the Uyghurs, Falun Gong, house church Christians, and others, forcing them into labor camps, which we heard this morning described in great detail, and then forcing them to be tested so that they might match potentially giving up their organs in a forced manner and selling their organs to individuals from other countries. As we heard it mentioned today, it's organ tourism. Organ tourism. All of these groups have been and continue to be persecuted by the Chinese Communist Party, known as the CCP, of existing and being religious. It has been widely reported by international human rights organizations that more than 1 million Muslims have been imprisoned in China since just 2017, with tens of thousands believed to have died. This is why we value religious freedom in our country so much. The primary intention of Senate Bill 1040 is to prevent Texans from unknowingly becoming complicit in forced organ harvesting. The bill achieves this by prohibiting health benefit plans from paying for organs that originated in countries where the risk is extremely high that the organ would come from an illicit source. The bill would prohibit paying for expenses related to organ transplant procedures or recovery if the organ is known to have originated in a country with a government that funds, sponsors, or otherwise facilitates forced organ harvesting. The bill will allow the Commissioner of the Department of State Health Services to add additional countries to the list that fund, sponsor, or otherwise facilitate forced organ harvesting. I look forward to the passage of Senate Bill 1040 to send a message for organs that originated in countries where the risk is extremely high that the organ would come from an illicit source. The bill would prohibit paying for expenses related to organ transplant procedures or recovery if the organ is known to have originated in a country with a government that funds, sponsors, or otherwise facilitates forced organ harvesting. The bill will allow the Commissioner of the Department of State Health Services to add additional countries to the list that fund, sponsor, or otherwise facilitate forced organ harvesting. I look forward to the passage of Senate Bill 1040 to send a message that Texas will not tolerate this barbaric practice. I am joined, as I said, by a number of my colleagues. Dr. Alverson has the companion to Senate Bill 1040, which is House Bill 2025. Mr. Chairman, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to say how honored I am to be here and how appreciative I am for Chairwoman Kolkhorst's leadership on this issue. And I, too, look forward to the passage of Senate Bill 1040. It is clear to me through several sessions of work on this issue that the Chinese Communist government sees its people as a commodity, not as individual human beings with guaranteed rights and liberties. And they continue to imprison their people and offer them up willingly as non-voluntary donors of organs. I have seen firsthand hospital websites in English and Mandarin in China advertising hearts available, donors standing by. And members, friends, you know that nobody can survive a transplant like that. These people are being sacrificed for financial gain by a government that doesn't believe that they are actually human beings. And we aim to put a stop to that once and for all and make sure that our market, our high ethical standards that we have in this country, that we do not allow anyone's organs to be harvested from them for the purposes of helping somebody else to survive a chronic illness. And so I remain committed to passing this legislation and advancing this cause and continuing to do whatever I can to draw attention to this horrible and detestable practice. And now I'd like to introduce to you one of my very best friends, a community leader and the executive director of the Minaret Foundation, Sharik Ghani.
Press, here today, I'd like to introduce to you two very special guests who have traveled very far to come here to Austin, Texas, to participate in the hearing by Senator Kolkhorst. Kalbunur Siddiq and Gulbahar Hatiwaji, they are two survivors of Uyghur concentration camps in China.
Assalamu alaikum. Ben 2017 yılı 3. aydan 9. aygacha şu vatanimizde qurilgan 2 kampida 9 ayga yaqin Xitoy tili dars o'tdim. Bu jarayon dahshatli zulmlarga va qirg'inchilik shahid bo'ldim.
Salam to everyone. I've been teaching Chinese Mandarin class during 9 months in 2 different camps in the city of Urumqi.
2018 yılından başlap vatanimizde mecburi emgak qul zavodlari ta'sis qilindi va undan sirt ishki organ ve halal organ sodası evcep ketdi.
Beginning of 2018, forced labor factories have been created in our city, and at the same time, forced organ harvesting has started.
Ben 2019 yılı 5. ayda Ürüm şehir Tensan rayonu Çanlayuan'da şu yerde kanç yüzlügen Uygur kız ayarlarıyla okşaş mecburi tuğması operasyası kılındı ve 10. ayda Gollandiyadaki kızımın yardım bilen Gollandiya'ya geçip geldim.
In May 2019, I've been sterilized by force, accompanied by many other women, and I could join Netherlands in October 2019.
Allah rahmet.
Salam hanımlar, efendiler. Ben lager şahidi Gulbar Bolime 2006 yıldan başlayıp Fransa'da yaşavatım ailem bilen.
Hello everyone, I'm the camp witness Gulbahar, and I've been living in France since 2006.
2016 yılının ahiri ben Xitay hükümetiga berip 3 yılga yaqin şu Xitay hükümetiniki xalqimiz üçün açқан jaza lagerlarda 3 yılga yaqin turib keldim.
From end 2016 to 2019, I've been living in those camps during almost 3 years.
2019 yılı 8. ayının 21. günü ben Fransa hükümetininki ve kızımınki güç çıkırışı bilen Xitay'ınki jaza lagerdan qutulup Fransa'da yaşavatım ben hazır.
Thanks to my daughter's advocacy and the French government implication, I could be released in August 2019. Thank you.
My name is Sharik Abdul Ghani, and I'm the executive director of Minaret Foundation, where we bring faith communities together through multi-faith and civic engagement. This is an issue that has powerful implications in religious freedom. Inadvertently, due to the understandable needs of Texans who are in need of organ transplants, we are uplifting an industry rooted in evil in China, facilitated by the CCP. This industry is based around imprisoning Muslims, Christians, and others of faith and brutally removing their organs against their will. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, if you see an evil, change it with your hands. If you can't, then change it with your tongue. And if you can't, then pray for it. Religious freedom is a cornerstone of our democracy and an innate value we hold as Texans. This bill by Madam Kolkhorst will go a substantial way in protecting the religious freedom of Muslims and Christians and others of faith by preventing Texans from uplifting a terrible industry in China and other nations that forcefully remove our organs from its population. In Matthew 16:26, Jesus said to his disciples, "What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul?" As Texans, we have a real opportunity to lead on this issue. Thank you immensely, Madam Chair, for introducing such a critical bill and building upon Senator Paxton's resolution from last session. May God bless you and allow this bill to become a light of hope for victims all over the world.
Thank you for that powerful witnessing. Thank you for traveling so far to tell your story. If any of you didn't see the Senate bill layout today, it was very emotional. Anyone in the room, I know my staff, we all had tears in our eyes. And so I want to thank my colleagues for what we do here in Texas matters. I like to say what we do here in Texas can change our nation and it can change the world. And so any of my other colleagues want to say anything?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know that the constituents from my district who brought this issue to me in the last session were so moved by your compassion. I remember the day that we heard from them, and it was a long day. They stood around waiting for the opportunity, and Madam Chair, you made sure that they had the opportunity to speak. And as I was listening to you this morning, I was reminded by what my constituents have repeated to me over and over. And that is the bravery required to even speak out about this issue here. These people are safe here. Their families are not. And it takes tremendous courage to speak out when you know that potentially your family members may bear the brunt, the repercussions of your courage, but they're willing to do it because they value life. And I just want to thank them. Thank you for your courage, for your bravery. This is only known because people are willing to speak up, and it takes tremendous courage. It takes tremendous courage on so many levels, and Madam Chair, I'm so thankful that you've brought this forward.
Thank you, Senator Kolkhorst, for inviting me to speak on this issue. China's human rights record has been a serious cause for concern for several years. Since 2014, we've seen evidence that China is committing genocide against the Uyghur Muslim community. We must do everything in our power to stop these injustices from the Chinese government and stand up for the religious freedom and the safety of the Uyghur Muslim community in China. In 2019, the Independent China Tribunal reported China was practicing systematic and forced organ removal of its imprisoned population, creating a transplant tourism market where major organs can be produced within a matter of weeks instead of a number of years. Over 10,000 people are on the organ transplant waiting list in Texas alone. In desperation, some make the unconscionable choice to buy organs on the black market, putting the lives of both the forced donor and the recipient at risk. The implications of the organ harvesting and the genocide of the Uyghur Muslim community in China are beyond disturbing. This beautiful community and its culture are a threat of erasure. As legislators, we must take a stand against these blatant human rights violations. Senate Bill 1040 is the first step in preventing the exploitation and abuse of vulnerable individuals and upholding global human rights standards. I appreciate Senator Kolkhorst's effort in bringing attention to this important issue. During this holy month of Ramadan, we ensure that the safety of our Muslim brothers and sisters across the state of Texas and around the world. I look forward to working with my colleagues on the passage of SB 1040. Thank you so much.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here with my colleagues on both the House and the Senate on this important issue. And it's disheartening that we're having to continue to have this discussion. I remember last session being my first session and first learning about this and the resolution that was passed to urge Congress and urge our country to condemn and work against what some around the world, and more specifically China, is doing in terms of taking someone's life because they have an adversarial view, an opposing view to the view of their country, to take their life and sell organs on the black market is a horrific act. That while we wait on the United States to continue to take action on this, state of Texas will take action with Senate Bill 1040 and House Bill 2025. There's no doubt that we should all be able to agree that this horrific act should be stopped, and the state of Texas should do everything possible to stop it. And so I'm proud to stand with my colleagues here. We heard and I appreciate those that came to share their story, because that brings to life what is happening in China today, and we must stand against that. We have an opportunity here, and I appreciate my colleagues and in both the House and the Senate as we move this to the governor's desk. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the bravery of those that have told their story, the Minaret Foundation, my colleagues. A bipartisan effort to stop these atrocities, to protect religious freedom, and for Texas to state to the world that we stand with those that have been wrongly imprisoned, and we will fight evil. Thank you.